Hare Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse number 5. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribrajakachaja Sutara Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse number 5. Antakale chamameva smaram muktva kalevaram yaprayati satadbhavam yati nashtyatra samsayaha. Antakale chamameva smaram muktva kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam yati nashtyatra samsayaha. Antakale chamameva muktva smaram muktva kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samsayaha. Antakali chamameva smaram muktva kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samsaya. Antakale, at the end of life. Cha, also. Mam, unto me. Eva, certainly. Smaran, remembering. Muktva, quitting. Kalevaram, the body. Ya, he who. Prayati, goes. Sa, he. Madbhavam, my nature. Yati, achieve. Na, not. Asti, there is. Atra, here. Samshayaha, doubt. Translation and purport of Srila Prabhupada. And whoever, at the time of death, quits his body remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Purport. In this verse, the importance of Krishna consciousness is stressed. Anyone who quits his body in Krishna consciousness is at once transferred to the transcendental abode of the Supreme Lord. The word smaram, remembering, is important. Remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. To remember Krishna, one should chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Incessantly, following the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, being more tolerant than a tree, humbler than the grass, and offering all respect to others without requiring respect in return. In such a way, one will be able to depart from this body successfully, remembering Krishna, and so attain the supreme goal. Antakali chamameva smaram muktva kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam yatra nasti atra samsayaha. And whoever at the time of death quits his body remembering me alone attains my nature at once. Of this there is no doubt. So this is one of the key verses of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita, as we know, is an instruction manual given by Krishna to his devotee Arjuna. Actually, it is an instruction manual for humanity, for us. And in the Bhagavad Gita, there are many, many subjects in different parts. This particular chapter, chapter 8, is called Attaining the Supreme, wherein Krishna points out different aspects of yoga, how to connect to him. But throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he makes some very, very definite statements which are very encouraging to the devotee. And these statements are actually a little bit outside the narrative that is going on between him and Arjuna. But they are statements of encouragement that when a devotee reads them, he feels uplifted. He feels that my path towards Krishna, it may not be easy. My material situation may not be easy. I may not be as God conscious as I would like to be. But Krishna is encouraging me. He's giving me an opportunity. Like here he says, no matter what, if you remember me at the moment of death, you will come to me. Now, remembering Krishna is madbhavam, to attain his nature. In other words, we attain Krishna, we attain Krishna's nature when we become free from the bodily conception of life. When our identity as spirit souls becomes prominent in our life, then we are said to attain Krishna's bhavam, or Krishna's space. Krishna's space is the space of affection and love that he nurtures, that we need to nurture, and which is eternally there within our heart. So, in another part of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that those who become pure-hearted, who clean their hearts, tesham antagata papam, Antagata. Anta means within our heart, and gata means gone. Papam means sins. So tesham antagata papam punyanam karma, one who performs punya karma or auspicious activities. So te sa nirmukta bhajante mam dridavrataha. When we come to this point of understanding that we have nothing to do with the material world, when we understand that this material world, it is like a stage performance. It is like a movie. It will come to an end. Movies are very nice. You can go to the theater, you can watch a movie, and for 2 hours you will be absorbed in the movie. You will forget all your problems, and you will feel happiness and distress, and you will move into another space. But that space in the movie is got one problem, and the problem is it comes to an end. So similarly, the space in the material world within the material bodily conception will come to an end. Now I am in my 70s, and I began to hear about Krishna when I was in my mid-20s. But for a good 25, 26 years, I didn't know anything about Krishna. I knew something about God. I knew that there was a possibility of going to church, and that I had to act piously instead of acting impiously, because God was there, because He created the world, He created me, He's our Supreme Father. He's supplying us, supplying me my needs. Therefore, it is my duty, just like it is my duty to my material father, to obey Him because He's supplying my needs. So, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That is the Lord's Prayer, which I learned as a child. That we have a Father who is in heaven, and His name is to be glorified. Hallowed means glorify. So, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. We want to live in a place which is God conscious. We want to live in the kingdom of God. But we cannot be like Ravana. Ravana, for example, he wanted the kingdom of God, but he didn't want God. He wanted Sita Devi, who is the energy of Krishna, who is the Lakshmi, the energy of opulence, from whose power all these universes are being manifested. He wanted her. He wanted Krishna's power, but he didn't want Krishna. He wanted he wanted Sita, but he did not want Rama. Therefore, even though Ravana was a Brahmana by birth, he was a great personality, he was very fond and very supportive of Brahminical culture, even though he was one of the greatest devotees of Lord Shiva, and he was benedicted by Lord Shiva and other demigods, still he is known as a Rakshasa. A Rakshasa means one who kills his own self. So this reminds me of a verse from the Sri Upanishad, because I'm listening daily to Prabhupada's classes, and he's giving a series of classes in 1969 in Los Angeles, and these classes are based on the Sri Upanishad. There are 108 Upanishads. Out of the 108 Upanishad, the number one is called Isha Upanishad. Upanishad means Upa. Upa means next to. So Upanishad means to sit next to someone who is willing to give you spiritual life. Whoever you sit next to, you acquire those qualities. If you sit among drunkards and criminals, you will become a drunkard and a criminal. But if you sit among the devotees of the Lord, you will become a devotee of the Lord. So Upanishad means those who are interested in understanding the spiritual nature and their connection with God. The Vedas, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, and Samaveda, the 4 Vedas, they deal with material sacrifices to the demigods. They teach us how to live in the material world in such a way that we become progressive in our path through life, mainly by performing sacrifices, because sacrifices are meant to be performed because we are being supplied our necessities of life by a higher power. And because we are being supplied the necessities of life, the least we can do is to acknowledge and is to be grateful. So this acknowledgement and gratefulness for being supplied all our necessities of life, like the sunlight, the moonlight, the rain, the seas, the oceans, these are all supplied by material nature, which is controlled by very powerful demigods. And a sacrifice is to recognize this control of the demigods, to recognize that we are being cared for, we are being nurtured. And how do we recognize this? By offering back what we receive in sacrifice. Just like a child, he will be sitting at a table and his father has provided food, and the child will be eating the food and he will enjoy the food, and he will take a portion of the food and he will offer it to his father out of affection. Now the food has been supplied by the father. He doesn't need his child to provide him food, but he sees the care, he sees the love, the affection. He understands that my child is now becoming conscious. He's understanding that I am providing him. And he enjoys this exchange. So in the same way, everything belongs to God, and God designates the material universes to very powerful demigods like the sun, the moon, the Lord of the waters, the Lord of the rain, to provide us our necessities, and our duty is to offer back in sacrifice. If you go to India and you see people bathing in the Ganges, they will sit in the Ganges, stand in the Ganges up to their waist. They will pick up some water in their hands. They will chant a mantra in thank and glorification of Ganga Devi, and they will pour the water back. They are taking the water from Ganga, but they are offering back to Ganga. So in the same way, whatever for example, during the harvest months in autumn, there is a ceremony called Anakut. Anakuta means that the farmers, they collect all their produce, the wheat, the rice, vegetables, and whatever they have grown, and they offer it in sacrifice to Krishna. So Krishna is known as Yajna. Yajna vai Vishnu. Vishnu is defined as Yajna, or as the original benefactor of sacrifices. These sacrifices are meant to put us in an understanding of our dependent position in relationship with God. But as I said, for the first 25, 26 years of my life, I had no real understanding of God. I didn't perform any sacrifices. I took life as it is, took it for granted. But when I met Srila Prabhupada, I understood that if I wanted to make progress towards the reality of my life, sacrifice was very important. Now, sacrifices are usually performed with a fire. Certain mantras have to be chanted to purify the ether, to purify the atmosphere. And to chant these mantras, we require special priests who know how to perform these ceremonies, but those priests are not available anymore. Even in India, the brahmanas who perform sacrifices, they do it for their benefit, they do it for the salary or for the remuneration. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna, he has declared that in Kali Yuga, because there are no proper priests, there is no proper atmosphere to perform sacrifice, the only sacrifice to be performed is called Sankirtan Yajna. Yajna, the sacrifice of Sankirtan. Sankirtan means to glorify God, to accept God in our heart. And the method, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By chanting the Antagata Papam, the misconception within the heart, the pap, the sin. Sin means misconception, means ignorance. That ignorance, Antagata Papam, Gata means goes away. And Punya Karmanam, then we are actually able to perform activities which are of spiritual benefit. To perform activities which are spiritually beneficial for us, we have to come to the position of knowledge. Raja Vidya, in the 9th chapter, Krishna says that I'm giving this knowledge, it is the king of knowledge. Why is it the king of knowledge? Raja Guyam, because it is secret. If you go and meet people in the street, if you watch television, if you read the newspapers, if you go online, there is no understanding of our relationship with God being described. In matter of fact, anything to do with religion is considered to be old-fashioned. It's considered to be some kind of a fanaticism, some kind of a dogma. But therefore Krishna says, Raja Guyam, what I'm teaching you is very, very secret. It is not commonly available. Why is it not commonly available? Because if you look at the animal kingdom, you look at the animals, they have no understanding of God. They don't pray, they don't perform austerities, they don't study the Vedas, they don't study knowledge, they don't understand that they are in an animal body. They act according to their bodies, according to the animal body. They are absorbed. You cannot break them from that absorption. So similarly, people who live, most human beings, they live like two-legged animals. They're simply conscious of the body and how to increase the satisfaction of the body, how to enjoy our senses. So, Krishna says, Athatha Brahma Gignaso. Now that you got a human form, it is your duty to inquire about spirit, because it is not possible to inquire about spirit when you're in an animal body. Animal body means that the living entity has been punished because he acted like an animal. Therefore, he is being put in an animal body, and he has to go through the process of evolution until he comes back to the human body, which gives him the possibility to understand his spiritual life, his spiritual identity. But if, despite having a material body, a human body, which has the capacity and the capability of understanding his spiritual identity, if he refuses to understand, if he suppresses that spiritual identity, if he suppresses that knowledge and dedicates his time to satisfy the physical body, he is called Atmagya. Atmahano, one who kills the soul. And then, as I was speaking about the Upanishads, the Isha Upanishad explains already in the 3rd verse, Asuryanama te loka andena tamasavritaha tamste pretyabhiga chanti ye ke chatma hanojana. Those who kill the soul, they will lose their favorable position in the humanity. They will go down the evolutionary scale. They will go to hellish planets for punishment and then take birth as animals to again become qualified to receive a human form of life. This is called samsara, or samsara means rotating in the cycle of birth and death. And the purpose that we rotate in the cycle of birth and death is to teach us the lesson that unless we use our human life for spiritual understanding, unless we become Brahma Gignasu, unless we become curious about spirituality, then we will again fall down into the cycle of birth and death, and we will suffer. There is no happiness in this material world, no matter what body you take. Even the animals, they are always in anxiety. Out in my back garden, sometimes I go out and I see the birds flying in the morning, but they are never still. They are always restless. The birds are always looking left, right, center, moving, jumping here and there. The cat may not come, or somebody may not harm me. So animal life is an animal of anxiety, is a life of anxiety. It's a life of birth, old age, disease, and death. These are the actual problems of life. And what has modern society done to grant us a proper birth? That is out of our hands. Whatever body we get, that is decided by higher authority. Old age cannot be stopped. Disease cannot be stopped. And death cannot be stopped. These are the real problems. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshanam. Krishna says, look, I created this. Look at this, that you're taking birth. You have no control over what kind of birth you're going to get. And no matter what kind of birth you're going to get, you're going to die. Even if you're born as Brahma, even if you become the topmost demigods in this universe, even if you get a body that lives billions and billions and trillions of years, still death will come. When Hiranyakashipu tried to cheat Lord Brahma and he asked for so many benedictions, his first when Brahma was satisfied with Hiranyakashipu's austerities, when Hiranyakashipu's austerities were so disturbing to the universe, Lord Brahma went to him and said, what do you want? You're performing such severe austerities. What are you after? You're disturbing the whole universe. And so Hiranyakashipu said, I want to become immortal. And Lord Brahma said, you cannot become immortal. Even I am not immortal. I cannot give you what I don't have. This is a very important point. That Brahma immediately said, I cannot make you immortal because I am not myself immortal. Therefore, if we want to take instruction, we have to take instruction from a liberated soul. I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for more than 50 years. I've been interested in religion since my birth. But I only met one person who I can guarantee is a liberated soul and can take you to Krishna. And that person is Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, I keep reminding you, read Prabhupada's books, listen to his lectures. Just because he's not physically present, it doesn't mean he's not present via Paramatma within the heart. If you pray to Krishna, Krishna will connect you to Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Narottam Das, any one of the great acharyas, Rupa Sanatan, the six Goswamis, they all came from the spiritual realm to the material world to teach us the purpose of spiritual life. Therefore, and why is it that I recommend Prabhupada? Because I am sure that if you worship Prabhupada, I am sure that he has the power to take you to Krishna. I don't have such power, frankly. I have the power, though, to take you to Prabhupada. That power I have. Because Prabhupada is my teacher and I read his books every day. I appreciate what he has to offer. What I did in relationship to Prabhupada, you can also do, and I can teach you how to do it very easily. So I can take you to Prabhupada, but I cannot take you to Krishna because I haven't reached Krishna yet. Therefore, Brahma said to Hiranyakashipu, I cannot give you immortality because I myself am not immortal. So instead of accepting his mortal position, instead of accepting Brahma's instruction, Hiranyakashipu, typical demon, he tried to circumvent the law of God, the law of Brahma, of immortality, by saying, well, at least let me not die at night and let me not die during the day. Let me not be killed by any man or any animal. Let me not be killed by any weapon. So in this way, he tried in so many ways to circumvent Lord Brahma's straightforward instruction. And therefore, Hiranyakashipu was killed by Nrsingadev, who didn't kill him at night, who didn't kill him in the day, he killed him at twilight. He didn't kill him with any man-made weapon, he killed him with his nails. He wasn't a man, he wasn't an animal, he was half man, half... And so in this way, if you study the 7th canto, the story of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad, you will see how Nrsingadev made all the benedictions given by Brahma to be true, but at the same time, he cheated Hiranyakashipu and killed him. So don't think that you're better than Krishna. Don't think that you can cheat birth, old age, disease, and death. It is not possible. The material scientists can make as much propaganda until they're blue in the throat, but they can never stop Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkha, dosha, anudarshanam. Krishna says, look very carefully. Anudarshan. Anudarshan means to examine very minutely, and to examine with the help of the great authorities that came before. Authorities in spiritual life. One of the great benedictions that I received in my life is that I came from a position of utter ignorance about spirituality. Although I had a desire within me, I liked the idea of God. I liked the idea of religion and church, but there was no reciprocation because I was too busy with other things. But the greatest benediction of God is the possibility to understand there is a line of parampara, or guru disciple, coming down from Krishna, and I got the possibility of being connected to the parampara by the mercy of the devotees and the mercy of Prabhupada. So Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam, this knowledge, imam rajasayo viduhu, the great rishis, the great leaders of society. What is a great leader of society? A great leader of society is one who understands that his subjects are spirit souls. If you don't understand that simple thing, you cannot become a leader of society. And such a person is called a Raja Rishi, or king, but at the same time, spiritually enlightened. Forget democracy. The only thing that will work is enlightened monarchy. We need leaders who understand our spiritual nature. And once we understand our spiritual nature, if we are taught as children, if you look at a baby, today I was visiting a devotee's house and there was a picture of a mother with a baby son, baby devotee born by a father and mother Vaishnavas, and I looked at the picture of the baby, and the baby was smiling, bright eyes, and I could see this little baby simply asking, give me knowledge, give me something which is good for me. He doesn't know what is good for him, but the parents do, we do. So from the moment of birth, Komara acharet pragno dharmam bhagavatam iha. Prahlad Maharaj, the son of Hiranyakashipu, who caused this whole, because of him, this whole controversy of this whole Leela of Lord Nrsingadev's appearance, he told his friends that from the moment of childhood, Kaumara means being children, Acharet Pragyo Dharman Bhagavatam Iya, that it is our duty from the youngest age to understand Bhagavad Dharma. Bhagavad Dharma means my relationship with Bhagavan, the supplier of everything I'm utilizing. Everything I use, everything I eat, everything I enjoy, everything I aspire for is coming from Bhagavan. And Bhagavad Dharma means to understand that and to act on that relationship from the moment of childhood. And if we do that and we develop this habit of always thanking Krishna for everything we have, then at the moment of death we will be able to remember him because we have practiced. Simple as that. Good. Thank you very much. I see we have many of the usual participants. Atma Pagemaker, who is actually Atma Vidya Prabhu from Germany. Dandavats, he's my god brother, and I'm very honored to have you on this, listen to this discussion. I don't have much to say, but when great devotees like you listen, then I'm inspired to speak. No, then Krishna inspires me to speak more. Filippo Gassiano, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Madhumangala Devi Dasi, my obeisance to all the assembled devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji. Pranjal Joshi, Hare Krishna in Devanagari, Jai Prabhupada. Rob Illings, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Krishna Priya Devi Dasi, Hare Krishna Prabhu, and assembled devotees. And Rob Illings, in Latin, it is said, qui cum canibus concubunt cum pulicibus surgent. He that lieth down with dogs shall rise up with fleas. That's very funny. This is in relation to the word upa, as you mentioned. Yes, whoever you associate with, that is very important. In Italian, we have many idioms, like in more than most languages, and one of the beautiful idioms we have is "Dimmi con chi vai e ti dirò chi sei." You know, tell me who you hang out with, tell me who you go with, and I'll tell you who you are. By our association. Therefore, we should pray for the benediction of associating with devotees. One of the great gifts that Prabhupada has given us, that in all cities of the world, there is devotees of Krishna. Everywhere in the world, if we want to know about Krishna, some Krishna organization is there. That is the greatest gift, and it is called Sadhu Sangha. The Sadhu Sangha, or Sadhu Upa, Upa means to be with a sadhu. Sadhu means one who is good, one who is sane, understands the spirit. So Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kai. All the Shastras, all the spiritual instructions, all the spiritual books, they repeat. Sadhu Sangha is very important, 3 times. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Even a small amount of association with a sadhu like Prabhupada, Sarva Siddhi Hoy, you will receive all perfection. Good. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. See you on Friday.